With Pipeline potentially writing a new chapter for the Swiss manufacturer Bolliger & Mabillard, I thought it'd be a good time to highlight the first coaster of each of their major models and compare them to the latest in their models. So,
let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start.
In 1987, two employees of the now-defunct Giovanola Manufacturing Company left the business to pursue their own rides manufacturing company. Walter Bolliger and Claude Mabillard came together with four other employees to form B&M. Their first project would be a stand-up roller coaster with similar box barn track design to the company that they worked at. With Southern Ohio fabricators producing the track for this attraction, this coaster was constructed at a Six Flags park in Illinois. This would open in 1990 as their first roller coaster, Iron Wolf. With a max height of exactly 100 feet, or 30.5 meters, a top speed of 55 miles, or 88.5 kilometers per hour, and a track length of 2,900 feet, or 884 meters, you can definitely see by just the stats that B&M came from humble beginnings. But hey, at least their first coaster has better stats than most Eurofighters. Anyways, after a solid run at Six Flags Great America, the ride was deconstructed in 2011, moved to Six Flags America, and given an apocalyptic theme. For 7 seasons, it operated as Apocalypse but underwent yet another renovation. For the 2019 season, the coaster was repainted and renamed to Firebird. The fire effect from its former theme was kept, and the coaster still operates today. However, the ride is still criticized for its terrible profiling and sheer roughness. But for being B&M's first dip into the amusement industry and the fact that it was relocated, it's kind of expected. Comparing this to the most recent stand-up coaster, Georgia Scorcher, the stats are approximately the same. However, Iron Wolf gets scorched, get it, by its successor when it comes to the layout. I mean, look at it. It's a longer ride, contains whippy transitions, and a freaking wave turn. This must be the pioneer of wave turns like Mystery Mine was to the Zero-G stall. But in terms of ride experience and reviews, Georgia Scorcher wins out as one of, if not the best stand-up coaster by B&M. Next model. Now that B&M was initiated into the playing field, they decided to go absolutely bonkers with their next model, the inverted coaster. Aerodynamics took a stab at this suspended coaster concept before, but the train swung with banked turns and were not floorless. So that left the door open for an innovator like Bolliger and Mabillard to create something truly revolutionary. And once again, it would be found at Six Flags Great America. Batman the Ride opened in 1992 as the manufacturer's fourth installment and became the first inverted roller coaster to contain inversions. This included 2 vertical loops, a zero-G roll, and 2 wingovers which look almost identical to corkscrews. From clocking in at a 2-minute ride duration to costing $7 million US, this coaster proved to be a success and a half for the new boys in the amusement park town. So much so that in 2005, this historical ride was recognized by American coaster enthusiasts and was given a roller coaster landmark plaque. Since Batman's opening, about 30 B&M inverts have been constructed worldwide and has become one of the most successful roller coaster models ever. Oh yeah, and 10 of those were clones of the first. How ironic. Honestly, I feel like comparing this coaster to the latest invert, Monster at Grunewald, is almost unfair. The new for 2021 coaster was crammed into a tight space, and Batman obviously beats it in terms of track length. However, Monster does put up a good fight with its faster top speed, taller incline, and respectable layout. But still, Batman is likely the better ride with its intensity and better capacity. Next model. It would be another 6 years before another new model was introduced to the public, and this time, the UK's Alton Tower stepped up to bat. This new prototype would consist of the ride vehicles hanging over the initial drop before plummeting down. Starting development in '94, the project now known as Oblivion was precisely planned out with marketing, theming, and ride experience in mind. If you know anything about Alton Towers, you know that they can really market their rides. The ride remained almost entirely secret when land clearing took place, while an intimidating bodyguard stood on site demanding approaching guests to steer clear. Then a giant hole was dug to prepare for the prototype's menacing drop and preserve the beautiful tree line. The ride would be marketed as the world's first vertical drop roller coaster at an angle of 87 degrees, and the marketing campaign began. The ride was featured on anything from TV advertisements to cereal boxes and even had its own line of deodorant. But in March 1988, the anticipated attraction finally opened with raving success. While this is the shortest B&M to date in terms of track length, Oblivion still provides that classic Alton Towers theme with a terrifying drop almost 3 times the size of its height. Additionally, it can thrill up to an insane 1,900 riders per hour. Due to the system that sees the first train drop while the second train ascends the lift hill, it has a better capacity than others of its kind like Griffin, which has 1,400 riders per hour. Speaking of others of its kind, let's compare Oblivion to the most recent dive coaster, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger. While Dr. Diabolical's layout consists of various inversions and a long-ish ride, Oblivion only consists of that one near vertical drop into the iconic tunnel, through a bank turn, and into the final breaks. And quite frankly, the only stats where Oblivion has an advantage is the drop in speed, which is kind of a given. Like the manufacturer that built it, the dive coaster had humble beginnings and certainly improved over time. Next model. Oblivion was only the start of a new streak of B&M models that appeared over the next few years. The next would feature various airtime moments over a long sprawling layout. The new model would inevitably become one of B&M's most popular and completely original creations, and the first was dubbed Apollo's Chariot. This hypercoaster achieves a max height of only 170 feet, or 52 meters, but the terrain gives it a 210 foot, or 64 meter drop, which makes it a hypercoaster. Just like how Orion's drop makes it a giga. Not only does it reach a top speed of 73 miles, or 117.5 kilometers per hour, but its airtime hills range from heights of 16 to 144 feet, or 5 to 44 meters tall. However, the success that this coaster has gained didn't come from its initial opening. During the opening ceremony, Busch Gardens decided to bring in a celebrity to promote their new attraction. In this case, it was Italian romance model Fabio. Surrounded by ladies dressed in white robes, he settled into the front row to take the wings of Apollo's chariot. As they ascended the lift hill, they got out of sight of the media and the unthinkable ensued. During the first drop, Fabio was struck in the nose by a wayward goose and was absolutely bloodied. All the media could see once that train returned to the station was the girls laughing and Fabio still trying to contemplate what just happened. A few weeks after the accident, he went on television and ranted about how this ride was unsafe. Obviously, this was not true because he wasn't sitting in the back row, because it was his own separate incident. Moreover, people did not listen to the celebrity, Busch Gardens recovered, and Apollo continues to thrill riders to this day. So now let's compare this near 25-year-old hyper to the latest hyper. Just a few hours up the road is Candymonium at Hershey Park. Taking a look at their POVs, you can see that they have similar weightless drops, but after that, they start to differ. This is likely because with Apollo's Chariot, B&M was trying to show off what this model could do, while with the newer hypers like Candymonium, they eventually found their formula. Overall, Apollo's Chariot does have the length and prime ride time, but Candymonium edges it out in all of their stats as well as having more unique elements. Next model. Just a week after Fabio got blasted by a goose on the first B&M Hyper, a multi-inversion model would begin in Jackson, New Jersey. But this wouldn't be like their sit-down loopers. This would have trains with riders' feet dangling above the track. Presenting Medusa, the world's first B&M Floorless coaster. The plot of land was originally going to be a Woody with a design based on Coney Island's Cyclone, but the plans were cancelled before any progress was made. Honestly, I'm glad that Medusa was favored over the original idea because we already have a few Cyclone-based roller coasters.
Six Flags.
Anyways, Medusa has a max height of 142 feet, or 43 meters, reaches a top speed of 61 miles, or 98 kilometers per hour, over a track length of about 4,000 feet, or 1,219 meters. But at the dawn of the 2009 season, parkgoers were met with a complete overhaul. The Western Medusa theming was replaced in favor of a purpley Bizarro theme. From a fire effect at the base of the dive loop to onboard sound, that probably never worked, the ride regained its popularity as a smooth and fun attraction at the Six Flags Park. Great Adventure even went as far as removing the back center seats on each train to house the speaker essentials like battery packs. Bizarro continued to throw riders in a park filled with world-class coasters up until the closing of the 2021 season. This is when the coaster was given yet another retheme to Medusa once more. Although they removed the Bizarro theming and onboard audio, they kept the fire effect that was added in 2009. Anyways, let's compare this coaster to Hot Wheels Nitro, the latest attraction of its kind that opened in 2013. With a much steeper looking drop, the latest Floorless reaches speeds of 4 miles or 6 kilometers per hour faster than Medusa. However, Medusa sweeps this coaster in every other statistic. But hey, you can't really beat a sponsorship with the owners of Hot Wheels. Anyways, Medusa possesses not only the better stats, but the better care and maintenance put into it that makes it more than likely the better coaster. Next model. Soon after the opening of the world-renowned Nemesis, Alton Towers picked up yet another project with the Swiss manufacturer. However, complexities with the project led to its delay, and they started working on what we know now as Oblivion. Once the first dive coaster was finished, Alton Towers picked the old project back up, which would be an improved upon concept of flight. Before this coaster opened, Vekoma took a stab at the flying coaster with their Flying Dutchman model. However, B&M would make this much more immersive, and it would fittingly be named Air. This coaster is not known for its stats, with a max height of 66 feet or 20 meters and a top speed of 47 miles or 75 kilometers per hour, but it still got wait times of well over an hour upon opening. Everyone in the UK wanted to experience B&M's concept of flight, and it wasn't just Alton's genius marketing strategies. The ride continued to operate as Air until the 2015 off-season when the coaster got a makeover. After a re-theme and addition of virtual reality, Galactica was born. This new space-themed expedition gave riders the sense of flying through outer space using a modified VR headset. One of the most memorable moments from this experience was the physical portal that the headset could recognize in the virtual world. However, at the dawn of the 2019 season, the VR was removed, possibly to return the old, faster means of operations. Now for the comparison to the latest of its kind, Flying Dinosaur. When it comes to stats, Flying Dinosaur blows Galactica out of the water. Or air, I guess. It's nearly 100 feet, or 30.5 meters taller, and almost 1,000 feet, or 305 meters longer. Galactica does stay much lower to the ground due to the height restrictions of its park, but Flying Dinosaur packs in more unique forces and elements overall. Basically, the model has vastly changed for the better since the first attempt in 2002. Next model. In 2009, a new thrill ride project was given the green light in Italy. During the following summer, construction officially began, and after testing in the beginning of 2011, a brand new experience opened to the public on April Fools of that same year. This coaster would provide yet another floorless experience, but riders were positioned on either side of the track. The model would be called the Wing Coaster, and the first coaster of this model would be called Raptor. This coaster would use its theming to its advantage, creating over 5 near-miss elements with anyone on board. The ride story is as follows. The Raptor is kept in a decontamination facility until it breaks free with 28 victims at its mercy. The creature swoops past a broken watchtower and weaves through a portal to create the vision of one of B&M's latest and greatest creations. This ride even has a water effect and introduced the now iconic inline twist through various objects. Also, something I noticed is that the drop looks much steeper than it actually is, being 65 degrees respectively. This drop helps the trains reach a top speed of 56 miles or 90 kilometers per hour and gets it through 2,526 feet or 770 meters of track. Now to compare this ride with Mandrill Mayhem at Chessington. This should be fun because as of recording this video, Mandrill Mayhem has just opened and it differs significantly not just from Raptor, but the 16 other wing coasters. Raptor's good theming is up against it with Mandrill Mayhem, which is themed around the Jumanji movie franchise and opened with a new area called the World of Jumanji. In terms of the stats, Raptor clearly has the upper hand, but in terms of unique elements, Mandrill Mayhem has the upper hand due to the multipass launch and spiral rollback around a giant statue. Overall, these two attractions differ greatly but look pretty awesome in their own special way. Lastly, if you want to compare Raptor to a recent wing coaster with similarities, Da Vinci Ride at Fantasy Valley in China is the way to go. This coaster opened 11 years after the OG and clearly has the superior stats. Also, the ride is much higher off the ground, which makes for an interesting ride experience. However, it sacrifices theming for what is, in my opinion, the better layout. Which one do you think is better? Let's talk in the comments. And now for the latest and final B&M model of this video. We travel to the now where over 20 years after their first coaster, B&M decided, hey, let's revive the stand-up coaster, the one model that no one likes. Introducing the Surf Coaster, a brand new intriguing stand-up experience with launches and modern elements. Not only that, but the stand-up seats are completely customizable to your suiting. With this model, they are debuting Pipeline at SeaWorld Orlando. From a launch track directly copying Intamin to a surf-inspired inversion, this coaster doesn't look too insane, but it looks good nonetheless. I mean, it only has a max height of 110 feet, or 33.5 meters, and a track length of just under 3,000 feet, or 914 meters. However, it does seem to offer some good thrills for anyone willing to stand up for the challenge. Okay, I'll stop. This coaster will also feature a water effect like Raptor and have various surfing-themed elements in the station and gift shop. Now for the comparison to the latest surf coaster, Pipeline. Oh wait. Gosh dang it. Overall, B&M has had quite the run when introducing their new concepts. Heck, they've only had 3 coasters that have been permanently closed. Hopefully they can keep that run going with the surf coaster model, but only time will tell. So that's about it. Thank you all for watching this video, and let me know down below if you want to see a different manufacturer highlighted. This video took me forever, so a like of the video and a checking out of more of my content would be greatly appreciated. Signing off for now, this has been Storm, and I'll see you coaster lovers next time.